Hey, Jeff Moyer here at DC Sports Training, located right outside of Pittsburgh, PA. And what I want to do today is come at you guys with a little buyer's guide to sensory and vision training. I've done a couple articles and podcasts about my use and our use here at DC Sports of vision and sensory training, and I've gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of questions from collegiate, professional, and private setting coaches. So I thought I'd kind of put together a little quick little podcast, just going through just my general thoughts, and where to start. That's usually the biggest question I've gotten is where do you start? Like, what tools do you use? What products do I need to buy? This, do I need to buy that? And so I kind of want to just go through a little rundown of my so-called research with this stuff, with all the tools and toys that are out there, because there's a lot and it's a growing market. I really think that vision and sensory training is the next up and coming thing in our industry, the physical preparation of our athletes, especially with all the concussion protocols and everything like that. How much of the neuroscience and vision training go into that? So this is I'm not a expert by any means in this. I'm just a passionate nerd that's try to do a lot of research and homework on this type of stuff to better my athletes. That's really all I care about is it going to help my athletes? If it doesn't, then I don't care too much about it. Now, I don't know if this is right or wrong. This is just the way I look at things. I guess it's built into me from my background with the physical preparation and athletic training. But I look at everything on a continuum, from general to specific. Kind of like Dr. Bondarchuk's continuum of exercises. General, special development, or preparatory, special developmental, competitive. So I do that with sensory training as well. Again, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's just kind of the way I look at things. If you type in sports vision training, and just kind of look at the pictures and some of the websites, there's a lot of stuff out there, guys, and a lot of it, if you actually look, is kind of more rehab based. There's not a lot with performance based stuff. A lot of it's rehab, and it's people who are experts in vision training and vision therapy. A lot of it's for rehab and therapy purposes. Again, that's not right or wrong, but to me that just falls more on the general spectrum. Now, just like with athletic training, physical preparation, we do need general exercises for our athletes. So again, not that there's anything wrong to it. It's just, to me, it's on that end of the spectrum, and I want the greatest transfer of training. So there's good stuff with that. Now, with a lot of the products and tools that's out there, this is not a knock on any one product or tool or anything like that. These are just kind of the pros and cons of what I see with it, and where some of it could be going, and where it falls on that spectrum. Just kind of right off the bat, Dynavision is a great tool that's very popular out there with athletic training and in concussion rehabs and protocols. What Dynavision is, for anyone that doesn't know, it's a big light board. It's a big board that has all these little kind of pinhole type of things that light up. I think maybe there's 100 lights, let's just say, and it's great for working reaction, hand-eye coordination, peripheral vision, visual memory, anticipation. And so you stand in front of this board and they'll light up, and you have to touch the lights or not touch the lights depending on what you're doing. You have to mimic the order of the lights, how they flash and stuff like that. So it's great for, again, developing those visual skills. Where I find it's a bit lacking is you're standing in front of a board, so you're not taking it onto the field or onto the court, and that's where those skills are most needed. So to me, it falls more on the general end of the spectrum. And then also in a group setting or in a team setting, it's really hard because you have one board, and so you can only train one athlete at a time with it. So that's, again, hard. Now, if you're in the private sector, rehab or whatever, I think it's a great tool to help develop those skills. But yeah, that's kind of where I feel that falls. The next is NeuroTracker. NeuroTracker is a peripheral tracking system that uses 3D glasses on a 3D TV, and you can perform your sports skills while doing it. And what you have to do is work on peripherally tracking multiple objects. So it will show anywhere from, I think, 4 to 8 to 10 to 12 objects on there. It will light up which ones it wants you to track, and then they'll start moving. And you have to be able to identify, once they've stopped moving, which ones we're the ones that you're supposed to follow. This is great for sports, team sports, hockey, soccer, basketball, football, quarterbacks, and stuff like that. Again, where I find it lacks a little bit is it is in front of a TV. You can't take it out onto the field and perform it with an ever-changing environment and real athletes and stuff like that. Being in 3 dimensions, I think, is really cool, and that helps. Obviously, that's better than a 2D computer screen or anything like that. But I just feel that it lacks a little bit as far as that continuation, that transfer of training. So it's again more on the general spectrum. Another company that we personally use now is Fitlight, the Fitlight system. What Fitlight is, it's a light system of multiple lights. It comes with 8, but you can buy individual ones. So we have 9 lights, and what they do is they light up, and you have to touch them to turn them off. So you can start general, kind of like a Dynavision, and put them on the wall and work on hand-eye coordination. You can put them on the floor and work them with your feet, let's say for soccer players and stuff like that. But then you can also hang them, you can stick them on people, you can do different things with them. And it's really great because you can take it off the wall and put it now onto the field or the court, and do a little more specific type of activities with it. For example, I work with a lot of tennis athletes, and tennis coaches are always wanting tennis-specific footwork. Work on their footwork. Got to get them quicker in their feet. But a lot of times they usually want you to do it with cone drills or with agility ladders, and that's not how tennis works. It's not how footwork on a court works. It works based off of a visual stimulus and a reaction to it, and that's what the Fitlight system does. So now we can work on tennis-specific foot work with split steps and recovery steps, and this based off of a visual stimulus, and we can bring these onto the court. So we can put it onto the sporting environment, which is great. So I think that falls more on the other end of the spectrum a little bit more with special developmental, whatever you want to classify it as. So I think it's really cool. Now, the Fitlight system's awesome, but they're lacking in some of the things that they can do with it. I hope in the future going forward that they upgrade their software and they allow more things to be done, to have greater benefit, greater just tools at your disposal. But it's a great system, and I recommend it. Another company that's out there for recognition is Axon Sports. It's a software company that does sports recognition work, meaning for baseball players, it will show a quick glimpse of a pitcher throwing, and based off of the ball or based off of the hand of the pitcher, the release, you have to now identify what type of pitch is coming. Again, which is great to teach that quick identification. So athletes are able, baseball players, softball players, will be able to identify quickly what pitch is coming. They also have it for other sports. We use it personally for quarterbacking. They have one for blitz recognition, for coverage recognition, which is great to teach quarterbacks to be able to, when they get under the center, to be able to get a quick snapshot and be able to identify, okay, this is a cover 3, this is a cover 2, this is a dog blitz, this is an inside blitz, this is whatever is coming, so they can make better decisions, which is really cool. So this is a really cool software that's out there. They have it for touch screens, and they have it for iPad apps and stuff like that, which really helps now with more of that kind of the specific. The only issue that I have with it is it's 2-dimensional. It's on a flat screen. So it trains your eyes to do that, but it doesn't do it in a sporting environment or anything like that. So I think it's a little more. It's obviously more than a general tool, but it's lacking in some things. But it's really great to teach that quick recognition and anticipation skill. Another company that's out there that used to be part of Nike. It used to be, I believe, it used to be their sensory development. With the Nike strobes and everything that came out earlier, mid 2000s and stuff like that. Is Synaptic Sensory. They have a couple tools. They have the strobe glasses, which were the Nike strobes, and then Nike Spark training, I believe, broke up, so they developed into Synaptic, and they further developed the strobe glasses. They're better than what the Nike strobes were. They're darker, so you don't see it all. So when they shut off, you don't see it all. Where the Nike strobes, even if they closed and they flashed, you could still see a little bit. I apologize for anyone who doesn't know what strobe glasses are. It's just like a strobe light. They flicker. So you wear them like nice glasses, and they flicker, and you can change up the speeds. You can slow down the speeds. You can close one eye, close the other eye, and it makes the athletes really have to have a very hard focus and be able to track the ball well. Because if they rely on a peripheral vision to track the ball, and the lights turn off on the strobes, you're going to lose what you're trying to track, and it makes it very hard. And your brain has to fill in the gaps between the glimpses. So it makes anticipation skills. It really helps to develop that. And then when you take off the glasses, everything seems slower, which is a really cool effect. Now, what I really like about the strobe glasses is you can take them now onto the field, onto the court, onto the diamond, and you can do specific drills with it. So again, that falls now more on the other end of the continuum. But Synaptic also has a sensory station, which is a really cool touchscreen TV. Or they also have an iPad type of thing, a touchpad thing, where they have 10 sensory assessments, and then they have drills and stuff to help improve that. So the assessments, I believe they look at visual acuity, peripheral vision, eye tracking, visual memory, hand-eye coordination. There's many others. So this is really cool to now be able to assess your athletes and have a whole like PDF assessment of your athletes, and now know where to specifically spend your time, and they have training programs that go with that. Again, the only issue I have with the sensory station is it's a touchscreen TV, and it's hard to work with multiple athletes with that, and it's two-dimensional, and it's not onto the field. So even though it does assess and develop the visual skills, it's still not towards the specific end of it. So that's just where I find it lacking. But I still think it's a great tool. Where I kind of think the biggest bang for your buck with the sensory stuff is with eye tracking. A big thing that's out there with anyone who's researched vision training and stuff is called the quiet eye technique by Dr. Joan Vickers, and here's her book. Highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in it. It's very sciencey. It goes into great detail about gaze control and eye tracking, and that's what the quiet eye is. It's the gaze behavior of expert athletes just prior towards them accomplishing a task, whether it's putting, shooting foul shots, hitting a ball, catching a ball, throwing a ball, whatever the skills are. It's the gaze behavior, and I think that is the next thing, being able to see where the athletes are looking and how long they're looking for, and stuff like that. There's a company that's out there called Right Eye, and they're a gaze tracking company that you use I believe a TV, and you use glasses, and that has I believe it's a camera that tracks your vision, and it helps train the athletes where to look and how to look. That's I think one of the coolest things out there. But again, where I find it's lacking is it's in front of a TV screen or a computer screen, and not out on the field where there's athletes and things changing and going on. But I think that's a really cool thing. The next tool that I just learned about within the last couple of weeks is Neural Trainer, which is a virtual reality training device, which is really cool. So now it takes all these tracking skills from kind of like Neural Tracker and Right Eye, but now it's in a virtual reality environment, and the environments, I believe, are placed in like specific contexts, like a basketball court or a hockey rink or a soccer field or a football field, and now you can do these visual skills, reaction time, tracking, yada yada, but in a environment, like a 3D virtual reality environment, which is really cool. So I think that's a pretty cool device that's out there. I know it's a little bit expensive, but I think that is now that and the Right Eye are kind of where everything's going to be going with with some big things coming from them for the transfer of training. And last but not least, in my opinion, is what the guys that slow the game down are doing. To me, guys, I believe they're ahead of the game. Dr. Bill Harrison, and Ryan Harrison. I think they are the experts, the foregone experts, and I think what they're doing in all my research is head and shoulders above anybody else. And I'll explain why. They have a system. See, just like training with my athletes, I have a system, and then there's tools that we use. So we'll use a gym aware, we'll use a K-box, we'll use a GHR, we'll use hex bar, we'll use bands and chains, all these. But my system is how I train the athletes. The tools I use fit that system. Dr. Harrison has created a system for visually training, assessing, and then training athletes based off of their sports and their individual needs. And then it's all the tools that he uses that fit that system. They have a computer program that we use with our athletes here, the Sports Eyesight, which has 7 different categories of training, from tracking to trajectory to visual memory to reaction time to span and recall to all these other things, which is great. And that's part of it. They also talk about checking, assessing convergence of the eyes and binocularity of the eyes and stereoscopic vision of the eyes, and then how to, again, now that you have that information from the assessments, how to use that with the athletes to tell them where to focus and how to focus and things to get them to relax their mind or think externally. Some athletes, for instance, baseball players, have control issues with their eyes. Once they consciously start thinking, they lose control of their eyes. So how to control that? Some athletes are nearsighted, so they're better fastball hitters than they are off speed, but they also perceive things to be higher than they are. So where to look and how to focus on the ball or the pitcher or whatever, they teach that. So it's all, what I've found is everything that Dr. Vickers talks about with the quiet eye, Dr. Harrison and Ryan Harrison know how to practically apply that, and then take it a step further with all the tools and the devices and whatnot. So this didn't necessarily mean to turn into a testimonial, but I think what they're doing is head and shoulders above the rest. And for anyone who's looking where to start with the sensory and the vision training, I'd say contact them. They are some of the smartest guys I've ever met. And they're people I constantly bombard with questions on what does this mean and how do I fix this and what does this mean and how do I get an athlete to this and that. So those guys are the experts. But again, I'm not an expert myself. I rely on people smarter than me. That's just all the information I just gave you guys is what I've found and looked into. Again, I don't mean any harm or ill will upon any of the companies that I just talked about. I think they all have their benefits and places, but they are just tools, and it's got to be how they're used in a system that gets the best transfer of training and what's best for our athletes. I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, feel free to give me an email. Thanks.